Hello and welcome to Our Teens, coming to you from Revelation TV. I'm Roz, this is my friend Sam.
Hello.
Hello, Sam. Who is God to you? An interesting question.
A very good question.
A small question, a minor question, one we can get through in 28 minutes, would you say, Sam?
Absolutely.
You know, that is the total, what's hilarious about this programme in many ways, I guess, is that we're asking normally quite massive questions and talking about them. And what I really love about the whole thing about Our Teens is the chat and having the chat just because the chat's good in itself.
I think so.
Do you think that's a fair
I very
statement?
much do. I think also with these topics that we're talking about is they're not one-dimensional. You know, then there's not one way of seeing them. And I think just from speaking to anybody about them, whether they're a friend, someone within your religion, outside your religion, or just an atheist, so many different ways of seeing a lot of these issues, which often, you know, help our own ways of seeing them by having that conversation and seeing different aspects to them.
Yes.
So in many levels, I think they're extremely important to be had. Although we've got our unfortunate time constraints.
Yes, we do, and it is a shame. It is a shame. Although I would like to just say now, of course, there's a level on which there are no time constraints via the internet, because Facebook is always there, Twitter is always there, so you can get involved at any time, and we'd love to hear from you, because obviously these are massive questions, and we're probably going to find that, I mean, particularly today, Sam, you and me coming from two different, like, Jewish Christian perspectives, it's, you know, there's a lot that is different about us, but there's also quite a lot that we can share and learn from each other, which is marvellous. So if I asked you, Sam, who is God to you, what would you say?
Well, it's very simple, really. It's maybe the question of questions. And I feel, as I've said to you before, a bit torn on this question. On the one hand, I'm not sure if it's the most helpful question, because often when we talk about God, God is ironically taken out of the conversation. What we're talking about often isn't necessarily God, but it's a sort of... It's a bit of a concept, and we might use certain words which become detached from their reality, you know, with God, and it can be quite diminishing. It can actually, we can be sometimes putting God into boxes where I don't think that's so appropriate sometimes. So on the one hand, when asked, you know, who is God, you might say it's almost verging on almost arrogance to give an answer to that question, if that makes sense.
I understand that. I get that totally,
And even to a human being, you know, if someone would just say, "Who is Roz?" and I'll tell you, "Well, Roz is," to think that I could,
not carrying on with
but to think that I could sum up your character in a few lines is patronising. And
yes, it is.
It is. No, because we're complex people with anybody. How much more so with God, I think.
Definitely.
But on the other hand, living a religious life, hopefully, having a relationship with God is vital. And if you're forced into the corner to say, well, I'm not going to say anything about God, because I think that's diminishing and patronising, which in some levels it may be, you're actually stuck with nothing to hold on to. And so I think that on one level it is vital to have this discussion, but in a way where there's a sort of real respect to being, I think, honest to our experiences of God.
Very much so.